Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Like and subscribe.
Welcome to the Sit, Walk, Work podcast, a show about paying attention. My name is Dominic and I'm your host, and today is a guided meditation. And what you can expect is that the practice will open up with a brief recap, followed by the actual practice itself. If you find today's episode valuable, please share with your friends and family, and feel free to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show will begin after the following chimes. Practice was a journey through the opposites. And I know for some of you, you've experienced this with our IRS classes, but opposites are an interesting part of our practice. They're a reminder of how to bring to life what in meditation we call equilibrium, like a balance between these kind of ever-changing pendulums. And they're everywhere. Once you start looking for them, it's really difficult to not see them. And that was part of what I taught in my yoga class today. And so I brought that forth to the meditation. And so that's was our general theme. We started by kind of acknowledging that our meditation practice is a practice in witnessing and that we're taking in the experience. But the experience is also happening sometimes to us, around us, or through us. And so like there's this almost duality to what we're experiencing and then how we're seeing it and how it's landing within us. And so we kind of opened up with that. And then we moved into the breath and used that as kind of an anchor, a reminder of how our breath is an opposite, an inhale, an exhale, an exchange with our environment, a balance that we consciously know if you hold your breath in or out for too long, right? Like it creates discomfort. In the same way, if you avoid and or hold on for things for too long, they create discomfort. And so I wanted to touch us into a physical element of that with the breath. And then we moved from the breath into the body, into the sensations, really just expanding that idea of noticing how our sensations change, how there's this dance of opposites within the physical body itself. And then I kind of had us move through our thoughts, our feelings, and all the things that kind of come along with that witnessing of the moment. And then we kind of were a little more intentional. We focused our attention on, thoughts, good thoughts that we enjoy, thoughts that we like, and kind of wanted you to kind of watch how that focus of those things landed in your body. Both for things we like and dislike, and then brought it back to taking this engagement without attachment idea and applying it just to our open awareness before we finish with the flow of gratitude, just letting that kind of ride in with the breath and ride in with the moment. So make yourself comfortable sitting or lying down, whatever kind of works best for your body and where you are today. Really, the one big caveat I like to express is that you should be able to take a nice breath in. Since your breath is such a huge part of the practice, I want you to do that with as much ease as possible. So put yourself in a place that lets you do that, and then let your hands kind of find a place to settle. We move our hands all around sometimes when we talk, sometimes when we're working. Our hands do a lot of movement, so steady those a little bit. You can rest one hand in the other in your lap, or just by your side, or just the hands face down on the legs if you're sitting. So any one of those choices kind of work. Close the eyes for me if it feels safe and comfortable. If it doesn't, you can keep the eyes open, but kind of focus them on something that's not moving so that they too aren't adding to any additional distractions from what we're doing today. And so welcome back, or welcome to your practice today. And I say it that way because with this practice, it is constantly something that we're cultivating. take care of. It's like tending to a garden. You can leave it unattended and it'll grow some weeds, and then you can get in there and kind of take those out, and then you can start to nurture it back to life. And I think our practice follows a very similar pattern. But the first step is showing up, and you've all done that. So great job for allowing yourself to be here and be present. The first thing I'd ask you to consider, with the eyes closed and the body starting to settle in, is that this initial sense that you're witnessing what's happening right now in this moment. That's what you're doing. When you closed your eyes, you're hearing the sounds of my voice. You're beginning to settle in and feel what your body feels like today, and you're just kind of recognizing all of that. And it's the recognition that you're connected to this experience, but you're also free from it. And that idea is kind of a paradox, that we live in this world that is constantly being balanced by opposites. And that tends to show up in our practice. And it's kind of where I want to move our attention in practice today, to see, sit with and see the moments that kind of often act in contradiction to one another, but are really the source of our equanimity and balance. When I use the word witnessing or watching, the breath is a it's a good component of that. And you let your attention just be mindful of your breathing. In this way, you can see that you are breathing and witness that breath is present, but then there's also you being aware of that breath coming in and coming out. Right now, we're in a place we call kind of free attention. I just have you sitting here and witnessing how your body feels and how your breath moves, and also thoughts that come up along the way. A good attitude to consider, when the thoughts arise, is to not struggle and fight with them, and also not get lost in them. Can you kind of stay in that middle space with the thoughts as you observe them and work with them? If you're newer to practice, it is okay to kind of feel slightly agitated with all of the breath and the thoughts and the sensations. There's a lot that can be happening in every moment. Allow yourself to be in balance with that, if that's true for you today. All of this kind of weaves together as a reminder that you're the experiencer of the moment, and also the unchanging awareness that kind of lets all of this experience happen, the space and the availability for your moment to moment experience to unfold. These are some of the opposites we tend to hold. And I'd like for us to begin to narrow our focus, to let our attention witness more, a little more closely, our pattern of breathing. It's almost as if I'm asking you to spotlight your breath, to receive your breath on the next inhale, and notice how the natural pattern and rhythm of exhale kind of follows right behind it. In observing the breath, we are reminded of the relationship to the environment that the breath connects us to, or connects us with, I should say. Each inhale, you receive the prana, the life, your life force kind of is breathed into you. And the exchange on the exhale is that you offer yourself back out to the universe, to the environment around you. Making yourself aware of how you're holding this moment. If the mind has wandered or you've slipped into thoughts, it can sometimes send us into a bit of agitation. And if that's the case, can you be soft with that? Can you acknowledge that you're not where you really want your focus to be and gently walk your attention back to riding the wave of the breath? Same breath that connects us to the plants and the forests and the stars and the countless beings have followed this process. And there's even the inherent gratitude that the breath is operating naturally on its own, just the way it should. Anything other than that would be detrimental. But right now, in this moment, each breath is coming and going. And there's a beauty in that fact, in that you can receive it and witness it. The breath is a reminder of the way avoid or attach to certain things. The Buddha has been quoted as saying that attachment and aversion is one of the key reasons that we suffer in this life, trying to avoid things and trying to hold too tightly to things. And to observe the breath in its natural rhythm is the reminder of the value in receiving and letting go. Letting your attention now begin to soften from the breath and begin to slowly move into what and how the body feels today. And it's taking the same kind of witnessing of the sensations that are arising in your body. They're very similar to the breath. It's not that you're going out and chasing a sensation, they're present, and you're kind of witnessing the experience of those sensations. And a sensation is a way of describing perhaps any warmth that you might feel, any coolness that might be present, any tingling, or for some of us, it could be some type of chronic or reoccurring sensation of pain or even stillness, the absence of any physical movement within the body. As you rest your attention here on the body and you kind of notice what's happening, notice where the sensations are more prevalent. Sometimes they can be isolated in one part of the body versus another. And even as you kind of witness what you're feeling in your body, there is also the thoughts that accompany that feeling and sensation. There's a tone or a mood that comes with it often. Let your curiosity move through your body, noticing the dance of opposites that happen to be alive in this moment. And it's interesting that even as you sit and kind of witness the sensations that are coming, the thoughts that are slipping in, the mood or the tone that's arising, that the more time we invest in being with these objects, the more we see the kind of fleeting nature of them, and the way they shift and morph and kind of adjust along the way. Doesn't make what you feel any less real, but it's a reminder that it is constantly in flux, and that's okay. It's in allowing ourselves to explore the middle way that we find the balance between this paradox of things constantly moving on the spectrum between liking, craving, pushing away, desire versus aversion. We do this with our mind all the time. Even as you're sitting here now, you can consciously begin to bring your mind to an activity that you enjoy, something that you like to do and desire to do, a favorite memory, a food, an activity. And in letting your mind explore this idea, follow it until you find the point in the experience where you recognize that's something you'd like to have happen again. And that thought, that feeling has a tone within the body and within the breath. Watching it without kind of clinging to it or sticking to it, but just being aware of it. Seeing if you can take that same equanimity and offer the inverse to that thought. Considering something mildly uncomfortable, unpleasant, or even challenging. Maybe before the thought even begins to form, you start to become aware of any natural resistance to the idea. And it's okay with the same level of attention you gave to the pleasant thoughts. Simply find that witness to the resistance, the way it feels, the way it moves, the way it changes. finding the very subtle and fine line between engagement and attachment, not being indifferent or neutral, simply being present. This way that we've been witnessing our experience today is applicable to anything in any part of practice at any moment. Even now, as I ask you to back your attention out, to kind of move away from any particular thought or pattern of thinking and open your attention up to your awareness of sounds, of sensations, any general tones, feelings, or emotions. See if you can find that balance of engagement without attachment for just the moment. Letting your attention narrow back to the breath again, taking the breath here with an overlay of gratitude, not just for the breath, but for all the things that are beautiful and good in this moment in your life recently or even previously. It's as if you can let the breath and let the flow of gratitude in, knowing that there's nothing too large or too small for you to feel grateful for. And it only needs to matter to you. You can take hands and maybe slowly, softly, gently start to open and close them. Maybe you take a breath in and a breath out. Hear the sounds around you. Blink the eyes open, letting the attention kind of broaden. Notice where your awareness of witnessing your moment goes as the attention starts to open a bit wider.
That's the beauty of it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I invite you to check out my Substack, where we are building a community of like minded individuals to discuss all topics related to the idea of paying attention. I hope to see you there. But until then, with Metta, may you be well.
Like and subscribe.